All right. Let's... No. Turn that down. Welcome to episode 4 of Let's Talk Chess Lock. We are going to call Lauren Ellis. Yeah, buddy.
Let's talk.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's talk.
All right, here we go. She says, copy that.
Talk chess lock. Let's 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 talk
Lauren Ellis.
chess lock.
Hey, Tony, how are you?
Hey, Lauren, what's up? Happy
Not
Thursday.
too much, buddy. How are you?
You know what? I'm a lot more comfortable now that I took off my work boots.
I'm so glad to hear that.
I have this, I wear boots to go into people's houses when I do my home care job, because I don't want to wear the same boots or the same shoes that I go into people's houses and wear those shoes into my house for cross-contamination purposes.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because I could pick up little hitchhikers that could completely obliterate my home life for various reasons. So there's that aspect to it, and I put them on in the morning, and it's like a kind of like a Mr. Rogers thing, in that I wear these things out there, and then when I take off my work boots and I put on my tennis shoes, I feel relaxed and I feel like I'm starting to unwind and I'm no longer working, even though I rather enjoy what I do. So I took the long way of saying that right at the moment, pretty comfortable, doing pretty well. How about you?
That's awesome. That's like a nice little ritual to transition into the next part of your day. I like that.
Yes.
I am doing well. It's a beautiful day out, and I've just been trying to soak it up as much as I can.
Yeah, good. Okay, so you mentioned the word ritual. I like that. I like to ritualize a lot of things in my life. Are you the same?
I'm trying to get back to that place. I feel a little distanced from it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you have any rituals that you've kept during this distance?
None off the top of my head.
No, not off the top of your head? Okay. Well, maybe it's time for you to produce new rituals. You had to destroy the old ones to make room for the new?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I was having a very difficult time balancing a lot of different things, and I no longer have the grasp on everything that I once did. However, things went a lot more smoothly when I was very actively doing rituals and keeping the same routines.
I got you. It's really, I don't know, sometimes like ego death is important, I think. You know what I mean? Like every now and again, I like to say there's a value in getting your ass kicked.
I can certainly attest to that.
Right? Physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, figuratively. Yeah. Right?
Sure.
So, hey, welcome to episode 4 of Let's Talk Chess Lock. This is Lauren Ellis. She's a Philly comedian and Philly comedy show producer. She has a show called Fun Home that she's produced. Welcome to the show. We are glad to have you on. I say we because sometimes I do like a character of a person that I like to call him. His name is Augie Santana. Hey, Lauren, how you doing? My name is Augie. Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
It is an honor to meet you. I've heard you appear in the previous episodes, and I couldn't wait to get acquainted myself.
Yeah, Tony's actually he's like embarrassed that he does this kind of thing. And I keep telling him, man, just let it flow because you rather enjoy it. You like going back and forth between me and yourself. So just let it flow, man. If you feel good, it feel good. You know what I mean? Like why you gotta let his true self, even though I'm a figment of his image imagination. Anyway, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Tony and Augie. Please be your whole entire self.
Oh my God. if I could only truly be my whole entire self on any given day, I'm not even sure. Like, I'm not even sure. Speaking of ego death, I'm not even sure what that would look like. Does that land with you?
What would look like being your entire self
Being
or your ego
entire
death?
self.
Got you. Yeah, now as soon as I said that and I started to analyze it, I was like, you know what? I'm a lot of myself, and that already does alienate quite a few people. I could only imagine if I never had a mask on. Holy hell.
Yeah, it's a bit much, right? We can't handle the whole truth. You can't
handle the truth. That the guy said that in that movie one time. He was wearing a green suit. I know that much.
A lot of people can't handle the entire truth, and it's weird because you don't want to be inauthentic when you're moving throughout your daily life, but I'm learning after diving a little too heavily into that authenticity that, I don't know, sometimes putting a cork in it is actually really valuable.
Yeah, sometimes the best thing you can do is shut your yap.
Yeah,
Say
I'm
less.
learning this real hard. Yeah.
That was kind of the idea for the show, so that I could speak less and listen more, even though I've done a whole lot of talking. I apologize.
Yeah, so you motherfucker never shut up. You give him half a chance, you know what I'm saying?
I'm thrilled to listen.
Oh, that's so sweet. You see that? She's trying to support you, buddy. You're going to be all right.
I know. I'm good. So, you spent some time in Florida. Yes? We were talking about that? Yeah. So you were born in Philly, and you lived in the Philly area until you were 18, and then you moved to Daytona, Florida?
Yes. So I'm half Philadelphian, half Floridian, 100% Scrappy Doo. It's not a bad makeup to have, depending on the circumstances, I suppose. But yeah, so I tell people Daytona because it's a little more recognizable.
Uh-huh.
I lived in a small town that was called Palm Coast.
Okay.
At one point while I lived there, just to kind of give you like an assessment of the vibe, it's a pretty small county. Florida's a pretty big state. Forgive me for like being grim, but at one point they did have the highest suicide rate in the entire state. And not only that, but then they were recently in the news because there was a special needs little boy who like slam dunked a teaching assistant for taking away his Nintendo Switch. So
slam dunked him like through a basketball hoop, or just bounced their head off the concrete?
More so the latter. It's actually a really brutal video. All of this is to say that it was a very Twilight Zonian experience to live there for almost 10 years. And I had a very difficult time fitting in. However, I do consider that to be a blessing. And as much as that did serve me, holy crap, I'm so glad to be here.
Now, why the hell did you move to Florida?
My dad had lost his job like right as I graduated, and decided to use his severance to buy a house there cash. But I kind of really struggled in high school. I didn't really have plans and enough money to support myself, so I sort of had to go with.
Yeah.
And it was a weird time to end up there because there were like two very polar opposite realities in this town, where there were like incredibly wealthy people living in these gated communities that I would like deliver stuff to and always be blown away when I drive through them. And then there would be like pretty severe poverty on the other end of that. And like, it was a really dead end kind of a town. Anytime I had jobs that were paying me a little more, I was like traveling about an hour each way every time. Grim reality. I forget exactly where that train of thought was going.
No, grim reality, Florida. I got you. I grew up in Florida, so I know a little bit about grim reality in Florida.
Yeah. Would you say that you've experienced a little bit of this dichotomy I'm describing, or was it a little different where you were?
So I grew up in Clearwater, Florida, and Yeah, you would. The neighborhood where I grew up in, this is flashes of these moments of things that were just like, yeah, that's a Florida story. You know, when I grew up, when I come here and I talk about what I experienced when I was young, you know, that's the way it was, and I tell people that here in Philly, and they're like, wow, that's surprising. Like, for example, being chased, I would ride my bike everywhere because it was flat, and my parents would just let me go. I grew up in the 80s, and on the one hand, they would tell us, you know, the story of the Adam Walsh story. Don't ever go around with strangers because your head will end up in a trash can. I don't know if you know about the Adam Walsh.
I don't, but I don't have any difficulty believing that happened.
Yeah, and then his father started like the USA's Most Wanted TV show or something along those lines. So I was living in that, but at the same time, they would just let me ride my bike wherever for as long as I wanted.
Wow.
And I would get chased by the high school football team that were on their bikes, and they had, like, for whatever reason, some of them had, like, bow and arrows with, like, real arrows, and they were chasing us down, trying to kill us, apparently.
Jesus.
Yeah. You know, that's a Florida story. You would learn as a small child, like, don't go down by the water because that's where the alligators are. And if you do get chased by an alligator, you have to run in a zigzag and climb a tree. And, like, these are just things that I knew about growing up. Stories about Florida, you know, like, some guy does bath salts and eats someone's face on the side of the highway. You know, Florida. That's Florida.
Yeah, I've got jokes about it, and I'll say that, like, you guys remember Florida Man? Like, I've dated him 4 times, stuff like that.
Yeah, Florida Man, yeah.
There's something in the water down there. I don't know what's wrong with these people, but, like, I really tried my best to save them. It turns out I can't.
No, Lauren, I'm sorry. Like, you are enough, okay? I want you to know that.
Hey, thanks.
But you're not enough. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think there's a lot at the root of those issues for sure.
I will tell you one last little thing, you know, and people will say things like, when I was in physical therapy school down in Florida, there was a guy, I was doing a rotation in a clinic, and this guy he just volunteered. He'd say, like, hey man, you know what? I've been dating my ex-wife again, and I'll tell you what, I have an idea. I'm just going to drive her down by I'm gonna drive her down by the Everglades and just drop her off, you know, because you know something's gonna happen. You know something's gonna happen. The alligator's right there, and, like, I didn't ask you anything. Like, how's your knee pain been? So anyway, I'm gonna drop my ex-wife off by the Everglades, and then she'll get eaten by an alligator. Is essentially what he's trying to say.
Cuckoo bananas.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I dated a guy who, this was after the fact, but I always knew that he was down this path. He wound up, I don't know, they pulled him over because somebody reported that somebody lit the dumpsters on fire behind the grocery store we used to work at.
Oh, shoot.
And then they found him acting suspicious nearby. Mm-hmm. And then they searched his car and they went through it. He had all these weapons, Molotov cocktails, and he was supposed to do, like, a very long time in prison. And I don't really know the story, but somehow finessed his way down to only, like, doing a year through, like, the power of redemption or something. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I don't know a normal person from there. That's for damn sure.
Well, you know Tony, and you know he ain't normal, so you can add one more to the list.
There we go. Another one for my collection.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much. Yeah, so you were there until you were like 26, 27?
About that.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, like, what was the tipping point where you said, I gotta get the hell out of here and I gotta go back home?
The world kind of conspired together for me to get here smoothly. Uh-huh. I had spent a lot of time struggling to make friends. When I was in a relationship that was on and off for a while, I clung to it a lot harder than I should have because I didn't really have a lot else. And it wound up morphing into a really terrible experience in a lot of different ways. And super toxic, super difficult to shake, wound up getting kind of violent. And one day I had defended myself for the first time against this person, and somebody witnessed me do it. I wound up catching a battery charge for it. And that spiraled into like a month of like several months of a lot of really crazy stuff. And I was trying to maintain a full-time job on top of now like a bunch of legal issues, homelessness, etc. And once I lost that job because I had been falling apart at the seams, I truly had nothing left holding me there. And a dear friend of mine who I actually currently live with saw that I had been struggling online. My friend lives here. My friend's from New Jersey. We were friends from the internet for almost a decade. And he just was like, hey, you have literally nothing holding you there. I have an empty room for a month. Just come here and figure it out.
Okay.
And I packed up my car. I came and crashed here. I figured it out.
Yeah.
It's almost 3 years later, and I am still a spaz and a hot mess, but I am pretty proud of what I've been able to make of myself since.
There's nothing wrong with being a hot mess.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a mess. There's, you know, as long as you can self-actualize and try and be a good person, and notice that you're making bad patterns. I mean, it doesn't. Who the hell wants to be perfect anyway?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I had a martial arts instructor that would encourage me to say, okay, we're seeking perfection, knowing that we're never going to get there. It's a trick of the mind, right? You know you can't be perfect, but you're trying to be. You're seeking, you're striving for that, like a plant bending towards the light that's growing out of the concrete. You're always going to bend towards the light, and as long as you're bending towards the light, like, what the hell else are we supposed to do down here?
Yeah, that's a pretty good point. I'm realizing just how much I've gotten back into the pattern of pretty negative self-talk and really unrealistic expectations. And
Yes.
I am trying to remain conscious of the fact that what I've overcome is objectively pretty impressive. And if I'm not the perfect version of myself quite yet, that's all right.
Hey, listen, you said the word homelessness, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so objectively, like comparatively speaking, where you came from and where you are now is like I was pretty impressed when you dropped that word. I know that's no small thing, Lauren.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, man.
And when I say the universe kind of conspired to get me here, it's crazy how what was truly like my rock bottom moment, because I had racked up like a lifetime of decent karma and looking out for other people. It's so weird how it turned into one of the most beneficial things that could have ever happened to me, and the way the universe really had my back while that was happening.
Yeah.
I lived with this person when this happened. So as soon as the legal stuff came into the mix, I had to stop living there immediately.
Yeah.
And I couch surfed for like a week, and then a girl who I used to give rides home from work, because I saw her posting that she needed a ride home from work at 5 a.m. and she was pregnant, and I had nothing better to do and was up all night. I was like, just let me do it, bro. I wound up giving her rides for a couple of months so no other creeps could. And then I was on the street, and she pretty much was like, yeah, so I'm going to skip out on my lease, and I'm leaving to move into an RV. If you want to squat here until you get kicked out, I'm fine with that. And I had somewhere to stay the entire time. It was kind of crazy.
Wow, you've got some pretty deep life experience, man.
I've seen some things.
Yeah, you've seen some things. I'm almost like I'm trying to like I'm almost in awe. Like I've met people, you know, who have gone through similar things, but right now in this moment, you know, I'm in awe of what you were able to lift yourself out of. Truly, those are some
appreciate that. Thank you.
those are some big, like those are some big time like emotional intelligence, mental acuity, stick-to-itiveness. You mentioned your dad. Your dad raised a tough kid.
Yeah. If there's one thing I'll give him, it's that.
Yeah, I got you. I know. I could. Yeah.
Don't start talking about your own father, Tony. God damn it, man. This ain't supposed to be about you.
All right, you're right, Augie. So, there was you said that you're becoming mindful of the patterns that you're working in. Yeah? Something along those lines. Negative self-talk. I would say to you that you being aware of it, you can't take care of it unless you're aware of it, Lauren.
Very true.
You know? And so if you're blind to it, you're not going to be able to fix it. Like I move in patterns too. Believe me, like we all move in patterns, and I'm like, I ain't never gonna be perfect. You know, I mean, I've definitely screwed up in my life, etc., 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 and on down the line. But anyway, yeah, man. You mentioned something when we were talking about doing this little session of ours. You mentioned something about isolation, didn't you?
Yeah. That's where a train of thought I don't believe I finished earlier was headed, is that it was a strange time for me to arrive there because I wasn't planning to go to school. Everybody that was my age all knew each other from like kindergarten, and were very like territorial and not really interested in meeting new people. I was also a freak, and like if anything, I'm grateful for having to get out of my little echo chamber and go down there with people that think nothing like me, because I really had to get better at coexisting with stuff that was like wholly incompatible with my worldview.
Yeah.
And I also really just, I made friends eventually, but even then they were kind of like always superficial and fleeting. But there were several years where I just was watching sitcoms and comedy specials and doing whatever I could to keep myself entertained for like a very long time. And I truly had no choice but to completely like dismantle myself and put it back together in a way that actually worked for me.
Nice.
And as much as I kind of resent, quote unquote, wasting my 20s in such a sleepy area, I'm in retrospect very grateful for it, because comedy is something I've wanted to pursue since I was a little kid. And
likewise.
I think if I had taken stabs at it when I was like 18, 20, 22, when I would have liked to, it would have gone poorly. I would have had no idea who I was or what I had to say. And I think it would have gone so poorly that it would have deterred me from continuing to pursue it. But now that I'm kind of taking a stab at it with a very assured sense of self, it's working out much better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, right. So I like what you said about, first of all, agreed, double thumbs up, triple if I had another hand.
You got two hands for me, man. We're going to quadruple. What about me, don't you?
You said you had all this isolation time, and then you broke yourself down into the component parts and put yourself back together in a way that worked for you. I think that's gorgeous. That's beautiful. Almost like your own Frankenstein's monster, right? Like you're burning yourself down to the. You're burning everything away down to the bones, and then laying on all the nervous system tissue and all the muscle tissue and all the internal organs and what have you. There's a quote. You ever seen the movie or read the book $1 Million Baby?
I have not.
So there's a quote from the book about how you build a fighter. And it says, when you're building a fighter, you have to break them down all the way to the wood and then build them back up. So that's what this reminded me of. Like,
that feels very congruent to my experience.
Yeah.
For sure.
And not that this is exactly one-to-one relation, but I really look fondly on my time in physical therapy school because I was doing it on my own dime. I was borrowing all this money to do it. I didn't decide to do it until I was 27, had to go back to school to get prerequisites, and started in my 30s, and I'm like, I'm too old to do this. Oh well, here we go. And here I am, I've been doing it for 10 years. Anyway, I spent a lot of time alone in the cadaver lab. In the first 3 months, we had gross anatomy, where we would go and do cadaver study and dissect cadavers. And I spent so much alone time with the cadavers, dissecting them and looking at the insides of human bodies, and I really, really, really appreciate all the isolation time that I was able to spend doing that and doing my studies to make sure that I could get to where I am now, etc., etc. And I miss it, kind of. Do you ever miss the isolation?
Yes.
Right.
It's weird. I was bored out of my skull, like, during this period of time. But now I'm just so busy all the time. And I'm like, man, remember when I used to just, like, drive around for 3 hours to kill time? I really miss that, bro.
Yeah. I miss having long stretches of time to myself. And I covet being alone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I switched to doing home care, because although I do complain about all the driving and whatever, I do get my alone time, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And, like, I would never change a thing about where I am now in my life, right? Like, I spend so much time being a co-parent trying to take care of my daughter, and I love her with, she's the best thing I ever did, etc. I would never do anything differently now, but I appreciate that I had all that isolation time to, like, essentially reestablish who it is I wanted to be in this world, and I don't know. I'm still trying to define who the hell I am. I'm not even sure I know who the hell I am anyway.
I don't know, Tony. I think you've got a pretty good handle on it. You're the weird motherfucker that likes to do weird shit.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. I spent a long time apologizing for being a weird motherfucker who likes to do weird shit.
Relatable.
And probably has something to do with the fact that, like, every relationship I've ever been in didn't work until one I'm in now. Like, I have a fiance who is a nurse, and, like, she accepts me for who I am, and she accepts me for being a weird motherfucker who likes to do weird shit. But she also is challenging me to learn how to support someone that you love in a different way, like actively reprogramming myself.
I get that. I don't know if this is exactly what you're trying to say, but I know I've personally got to a place where I've gotten so comfortable in my solitude and really only looking out for me because no one else is, that whenever I'm presented the opportunity to invite somebody in, it's very threatening.
It's fair, right? So, I went through a divorce with my child's mother, and like, I accepted it, but it still tore my heart out, and I'm still trying to reprogram myself from that whole episode, and I'm actually really bored of the patterns that I was moving in leading up to that and after that. And but there's just some stuff, you know, like, I'm 46. I'm about to be 47. And I don't want to truly believe that some of this stuff is hardwired and like hard-boiled into me. But man, when the older you get, it's really hard to change your patterns, man. It's really hard to change your patterns. It's worth the effort, though.
I agree. When I say that I was doing that whole Frankenstein's monster ordeal, what that mostly means is that I was in a great deal of therapy, and then, like, finally with doctors that really understood how to work with me. I am very fortunate to have, like, about a decade of that under my belt. But ever since I moved back, ever since I kind of ran away from all of that, I haven't really been in a place where I had the time or the money to do that. And I think a lot of these patterns that I'm really trying to wake up to and realize are not serving me are things that I would not be doing if I had a trustworthy counselor keeping me in check, you know?
It's a shame that our country's medical system doesn't make it easier, huh?
I could not agree more, especially considering how many quacks have psychology license.
It's a shame, man. I mean, like, when I do... The stuff that I see in home care is... There's a lot of sad shit. People stuck in their houses.
Yeah.
And, like, we spend so much money on missiles that blow things up.
Right.
We will bomb a depot in Syria, and there goes $40 million.
Right.
At the
Not to get
flick of a
please
fucking
finish your
wrist.
thought.
Go ahead. No, I think I've made my point.
Not to delve into anything particularly controversial, I'll just touch on this briefly, but I was recently at a pro-Palestine rally, and it was interesting because it was in the streets of Kensington, which is where I live, and a lot of the stuff that they were yelling in the megaphone as we were going up and down these neighborhoods was about, like, how these neighborhoods in particular really need help. But they're not getting the help because the tax dollars are going to the things that they're going to. And it really is just such a shame to think about. So many of our issues boil down to people needing a lot better psychological help than anybody's receiving.
Yes.
And how normalized some of our wackiest behavior is becoming. And then the ripple effects of the way we treat each other. But, yeah, I do very strongly believe that we're on our way to a tipping point soon. I think a lot of people are opening their eyes to this and being like, guys, this isn't serving any of us. When are we going to do something about it?
Yeah, I think, okay, so I believe that a whole lot more people are going to have to die before we actually get there. Like
You're probably correct.
I could go down a very dark path with that one. That sounds something like this. We start trading cities back and forth with Russia, with like tactical nuclear weapons, for example, that are led by like precision guidance satellites. Woo!
See, the thing is, Laura, when he gets to a point where it makes him sick to his stomach, he makes a big motherfucking joke out of it, and he laughs at it because he's horribly uncomfortable.
And so, what I'm trying to get at is, if we spent money on mental health services, we would actually save money in the long run. But everybody's analyzing things on a quarter-to-quarter basis. We're not taking that. We're not taking those calculations and extrapolating them by 5 years. We're only extrapolating them by 3 or 4 months, because that's how the financial quarters are broken up.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. And it's crazy, because then you've got like a person like me who's self-aware to probably a fault, and like very aware that I need help, but then just so hesitant to seek it out because it's just going to be a waste of time and money. I don't know. I could go on about this for quite some time, but I have a feeling.
All right. Well, I think that means that we're probably going to have to do a part 2 at some time, my friend.
I am very down.
You're very what?
I'm very down to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Got it. I thought you were commenting on your like state of being at the moment.
Oh no! Yeah. I'm sitting in the sun with the breeze on my face. I'm great.
Listen, man, you soak it up. Bend towards the sun, little flower. I'll tell you what I told one of my patients today. I said, "Enjoy the sun, my little flower." I did. I told her that. One of my patients was outside on her porch today, and she hadn't been outside her home in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that was cool. It's always an enjoyable day for the home care.
I bet that was a big moment.
It was nice. She had the ability to do it, but it just gotten stuck in her own patterns, and it's very nice
Sure.
to have a job where I can. I don't know that it's not because of me, but at least I'm a witness to somebody like actively breaking their patterns. It is a beautiful thing, and it is a lovely, colorful little brick on the wall of we are here for each other, which is a very small wall compared to the wall that says like we are here to kill each other with nuclear weapons or ballistic missiles, and we're only worried about the next 3 or 4 months. That wall is much bigger. The other wall is much smaller, but it's more colorful and it's way prettier to look at.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I can tell by how you talk about it that you're very good at what you do.
Not all the time. Sometimes I phone it on in. Anyway, hey. Hey, listen, Lauren, this has been so much fun. If anybody wants to know about you more, what are they going to do? They're going to look you up on social media applications of some kind?
To my dismay, I am most active on Instagram, which is going to be Psychic Girlfriend, all one word.
All right, Psychic Girlfriend. We'll look you up, Psychic Girlfriend. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks so much for hanging out, Lauren. You're really cool. I hope you get what you need and you enjoy that goddamn sun. You hear?
You guys too. Thank you, Tony. Thank
All right.
you, Augie.
Hey, take it light.
Take
You
it
too.
light, baby.
Bye-bye.
All right, see you.
Episode 4, Lauren Ellis, everybody. All right. Peace out.
Let's pop the chest lock. Let's pop the chest lock. Let's pop the chest lock. Let's pop the chest lock.